Hello, welcome to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host, Iggy. Yay. Thank you for that. Well, guys, tonight we have a few things to look at, and I'll try and stay focused so that I can bring you all the information I have about these. You know how I get distracted and wander off, so I can't promise because you know how I am. I'll just try and keep focused for you. That's the best I can do. Tonight we're looking at, of course, Marx Battleground accessories produced by BMC. And BMC is an American company. And I have the cards that came with these. The first one up on the block is German 88s, 88 millimeter anti-aircraft guns, which also were used for anti-tank weapons. They had extremely high velocity, so they could knock the crap out of a tank. But there's a company called Victory Buy Incorporated, and they're US based. It shows here that this was manufactured in Pennsylvania in August of 2022. So that's a nice touch that they shared that information. Usually they don't do that. Okay, so that is these here. The next up is landing craft. And in this package, you get 4 of these. Okay. And these are based off the old Marx molds. Now, those of you who remember your old Battleground playset, you know that the ramp that you see here would always break off at the base there. If you have original landing craft, you're probably missing the ramp. And if you do have the ramp still, you're lucky. Now, notice they say it's 172 scale. That's probably correct for the size of this because it's about a quarter of what a real one would be if it was to scale for 132. However, as you can see here, they're kind of diminutive, small little things. You can fit a couple of your Marx figures in here, and that's about it. But if you were using it with 172, apart from these twin-mounted 50 caliber guns here, this would probably be the right size for you. I never thought to use it that way. It does say on here 172. Now, Marx played fast and loose with scale, as all of you know. They would have figures, and then they would have something that would be 148 scale, and so on. So none of that was really accurate. And then next up is these bunkers, one of my favorite items from the playset, and the ruined house, which is also one of my favorites. And you can see here, it says Axis Ambush. This is made in April of 2023, so almost a year ago. Made in the USA in Old Forge, Pennsylvania. And this says 132 scale, which is probably not too inaccurate. That they seem to be scaled appropriately for those figures. Now, these were introduced by Marx in 1958. Prior to the introduction of these, the Marx playsets that had a military theme were quite boring. They were called training centers and had a defensive posture. In other words, they had missiles for air defense and jet and other things. They were pretty much Korean War based. The Korean War is still being very fresh in everyone's memory. Marx wasn't sure if parents would go for World War II playsets because, as you know, all of us kids that remember the early Battleground playsets, our fathers served during World War II. And Marx was a little bit hesitant. They introduced Germans in 1963, and it was such a success that retailers were very positive about it. So they expanded the playset in 1964 to include accessories such as this 88 and also some vehicles. So, what did the early playsets look like? Well, I have this handy dandy book here, Battleground and Combat Sets, 1958 to 63. 1958 being the pivotal year when the battlefield accessories were introduced. Let's see what we got here. In the earliest days, they were a darker brown, and they were what they called striated. You see that sort of marbling effect? It almost looks like it's dirty, but it had a marbling effect, which you see there. If you have something like that, then you can be sure that you have some of the original Marx battlefield accessories. These would later turn into a different color, which is more similar to this. Okay, so then that's what they introduced in 1958. In 1957, let's see if I can find something that would. Prior to the Battleground playset, they had Marine Beachhead. I like the box art there. That's pretty cool. Or it might have been simultaneously, because I noticed there they said 1961. And Battleground came out in 58, so. Marine Beachhead. This is 1959 for this set, Marine Beachhead. You'll notice there's no adversaries. They have the Marines in tan and OD green. Now, my brother got a Battleground playset for Christmas in 1958, and he could swear that it came with Germans. And when I showed him this book and explained to him that those were not until 1963, he was shocked, because he had always thought that he had Germans in his original set, but they were just tan colored. Okay, let's take a look at the Sears catalog for a moment. I'll share that with you. Here's what a set looked like in 1957. It's got a headquarters building, fencing. It even has trash cans, some rocket launchers that were Korean War. They got an F-86 Sabre jet. Almost looks like a MiG, doesn't it? But you'll notice it's not really combat related. However, if we move up to 1958, we see here that it's more combat oriented. And you'll see the accessories. Now, I don't know if the original Sears catalog had this page in color, but it seems like an anticlimactical introduction to a big change in their playset to have it in black and white like that. So let's go forward now to 1963. What do we have here? And you can see Germans are present now. It's a bit of a fuzzy photograph, isn't it? But still, there's no German vehicles or accessories of any kind. And then in 64, they have this, what they called the Desert Fox set. And you'll see that they have what is supposed to be a panther, which was never appeared in North Africa. The tiger tank appeared in North Africa at the very end in Tunisia. The panther, however, was not ready yet, so they didn't have it there. They have an armored car, which is not based on any armored car that the Germans had. I did a lot of research into that and found a prototype that was somewhat similar to this, but not exact enough to say it's a copy. And in the background, you can see the 88. So this would be 1964. So how do these stack up to the Marx originals? Oops, let's move this book out of the way. I gotta say, the 88s I like better than my original because it doesn't have a hole in the barrel like my original does. I'm not sure why that had that opening on my original one. Maybe it was to put shells in it or something. I don't know. I don't know if this was had a spring mechanism or not in the early days. By the time I had mine, the Child Safety Act had already been passed, and so it didn't have any spring mechanism of any kind, so I can't tell you if they originally had them or not. Now, this is sort of a weird color, Kelly green, but I think they also have it available in an OD green. They had some strange colors. They had blue and pink and green. But I do think they had an OD green. I thought I was ordering the OD green one, but I got these Kelly green. Well, this is good for St. Patrick's Day. So, and it came with fence pieces. These are just like the original. And the plastic used for the bunker is not as hard as the original. It's a soft plastic. But I mean, it's sturdy enough. If you want to get more of these, this is a nice way to add to your set. It's made with, I don't know if you can tell because of the light, but it's a sort of a glossy, softer plastic. And the ruined building here, one of my favorite pieces from the set, is also, again, that softer plastic. But it's cast in the pleasing sort of what I call Fort Apache brown. What was really cool about this set is that, and it surprised me because I thought I was going to get one bunker and one ruined building plus a fence. I thought, that's pretty good for that price. I'm going to go for that. And I end up getting 3 bunkers and 3 ruined buildings, plus how many fences? I got 3, 6, 8 pieces of fencing. Is that right? Yeah, 8 pieces. Shows it right there. So I was very pleasantly surprised by that. So if you're into Marx Battleground playsets and you don't have everything or you'd like to expand upon it, I recommend these sets to you. Although I would get a different color. I can paint those. That's not a big deal. My brother got the set in 58, And for some reason, I remember that. And also, that was the year I got a tricycle. And why do I remember the tricycle? Well, when I was 13, I found it in the garage, and it was during the summer, and I pedaled down the street, and I was showing off for my niece, Shelley. She was laughing because it looked silly to see me riding this little tiny tricycle. And I suddenly, out of nowhere, there's two girls that I went to, it was in the sixth grade with, and they were, pretty girls. And I stopped and I got up and I was talking to them, and they teased me about being on the tricycle, but I played it off. I was trying to be Mr. Cool. And out of nowhere, with a suddenness and fury that left me flabbergasted, like a tiger tank bursting out of the Ardennes forest in December of 1944, suddenly, without warning, it was so loud I couldn't cough or clap my hands or do anything. It was very sudden. I had no warning. And their eyes widened. They looked at each other. Then they looked at me, and I stood there. I didn't say a word. I just got back on the tricycle and pedaled away as fast as I could. And that, my friends, is why Iggy is not cool with the ladies, because I do things like that, not necessarily passing wind so aggressively, but, well, for instance, there was Tracy and her friend. I had a crush on Tracy. And there she was with her friends, and I'm trying to be Mr. Cool, and I'm walking, and they're all smiling at me. And squish, and I looked down, and I stepped in the biggest pile of fresh dog crap, and it squished over I was wearing flip-flops, and when I pulled my foot back out, my flip-flop was stuck in the poop. And I look up, and the girls are all laughing, and I just quietly fled the scene and went to the bathroom to clean my feet and shoes. That's typical of the kind of stuff I go through. I'm just not cool. I've never been a cool dude. But it's okay. I do enjoy my hobbies. My life has not been bad. It's just been without chicks, that's all. All right, guys, that's it for me, Iggy. I hope you enjoyed my extra stories there. My blood sugar is dropping rapidly right now, so I better eat something. Whew, I can feel it dropping quick now. So, this is Iggy saying thank you for getting Iggy with it. Thank you for enlisting in the Iggy Army. I'll come back to you in a couple of weeks with a new video. I hope you enjoyed this look at BMC Toys versions of original Marx items. And I'd have to say thumbs up. These are great additions to your Battleground playset. This is Iggy wishing you a good evening. Good night.